congratulations. It's just such a moving, beautiful film.
Oh, thanks, mate. Thank you.
You obviously see the film so many times in editing, you're scripting it, you're talking to the writers, the actors and so on. At what point, Garth Davis, do you actually begin to register as an audience member how well the film is working?
Oh, look, through the process, I experienced it definitely. And even now when I sit and watch the movie, it touches me in so many different ways and at different times. Like I watched the film yesterday in Melbourne, and the whole brother thing really got me. The whole Guru thing really got me on that viewing. But every viewing's different.
and I'm interested to know the position that you're in right now, where the film is kind of being released. You're getting a lot of accolades for it and a lot of praise. Garth, does this make you feel more confident or more nervous?
Oh, look, I'm a pretty on-the-ground kind of person, so I feel, I just feel really relieved that it works. When you're making a movie, you've just got to trust your instincts and surround yourself by the best people, the most passionate and kind of tonally aligned people, and you've just got to really trust that all the way. And I think that's the secret to making a good film.
Because
I get nervous when that's not working.
Because just to make the point that there is nothing wrong with melodrama, I guess one of the ways that you could have gone with this film is to really push the melodramatic elements, which you have not done with this movie. Can you just tell me about, how hard it was to maintain a balance between the very powerful emotions that run under this story and keeping it from going over a certain line where it feels like you're pushing the sentimentality too much?
Yeah, it's a good question. It was a fine line because I like emotion in movies. I think it's something that's not used enough. But the only way it works, I think, is you've got to find the truth behind it, and it's got to be complicated. So the emotion's got to come from a lot of different things. So I had to just do a lot of work with the characters and just go very deep and try to find complicated reasons to their emotion. And luckily with this story, there was so many real-life people to talk to and work with and be inspired by. So for me, the emotion in this movie comes very naturally because of the truth of it. We're not afraid to go into dark places. We're not afraid to sour something that's going very beautifully either. And I think audiences appreciate that.
One of the really skillful things I found about the film was that it does have the feel of almost epic simplicity to the story. At the same time, you are allowing space in the performances for people to have conversations with each of the characters. It's a beautifully sort of internalized performances that connect directly with the audience. I mean, you get a backstory almost intuitively with the mother, with the father, with the main characters, of course, but everyone sort of emotionally gets their day in court with the audience. Can you just tell me about that approach?
No, you're absolutely right. I'm so happy that you see that because that was the intention. Well, I think the danger of this story is just telling the A story, because then you might as well just read an article about it. So for me, it was like, how do we make a film that has complexity and all that? But one of the things that I realised is that all of the characters in this movie are yearning or had some sort of loss. Even Lucy lost her mother. Obviously, all the characters are kind of looking to fill that hole in some way. So I really wanted to respect that with the characters. But the other thing too is that I found that they were, especially Sue, Kamala, and Saroo, they're all just so spiritually connected. Like in that great scene in the film where Sue talks about the vision and how almost the adoption is like this predetermined or a sense of destiny, and how Saroo talks about in his dreams, he kind of goes home to India every night and whispers in his mother's ear, he's okay, he's alive. And Kamla feeling, kind of knowing that he was alive, and that's why she never left the village. So I felt like they were all connected in this amazing way, and I just wanted to feel that under the scenes.
Now, it was while you were making Top of the Lake that your producers read the story of Saroo in Vanity Fair and apparently said, hey, this story is so Garth. What does so Garth mean? What did they mean when they said that? Well,
probably a really complicated shoot would be the first thing.
Yeah, I'm giving you permission to be a bit kinder to yourself.
Yeah, so they thought, this is a really complicated thing to shoot, so that's very Garth. And probably that there was the emotionality of it. Probably, there's a lot of emotion in my work, so they I don't know. Maybe you have to ask them the question, but sure. I think that would be what it is.
I think the timing that this film is coming out at the moment is rather auspicious, with all the debating that's going on at the moment about what it means to be Australian, about other cultures living within what is called an Australian culture. Is this film intended to impart any sort of message? Do you want people to take away a certain reading from the film?
Look, that was never my intention, but what's been really curious is in the making of the film, it's broadened the conversation into all of these areas, and which I think is really interesting. I mean, for me, what this story does is it just goes back to the basics, that through love, we can do anything we want, and you can, and it's not about where you come from, what colour your skin is, whether you're an adoptive child or a birth child. It's like love can solve all those problems. And I just think that through this story, it kind of connects with a lot of these kind of conversations that are going on. And I feel like hopefully it just maybe recenters people's thinking and they're not so quick to judge.
Certainly, I think the theme that really resonates is the concept of family, that at the end of the day, it is love. It's nothing to do with blood, with race, with politics, with nationality.
Yeah, I mean, home is not, the house with the garage and the car. It's where you're loved,
Now, you work very, very closely with Saroo Brierley and with the families involved in the stories from the outset of the making of this film. Now, Garth, some great American film directors, such as Sidney Lumet, argue against that approach, that you use the factual basis for your story for the research that you need, then you just go away and you make the film. What was so important about working so closely with the families, and what difference do you think that made to the film?
Well, they're my teachers in many ways, and to be honest, they're such inspiring people and such magical people. I just wanted to understand them and be with them as much as possible. And so for me, it was an enormous source of inspiration. I suppose I just had to find a way to kind of connect all that visually and exude that in the story. But I mean, I could not have done it to this level without meeting them. How could I? It just would have been my story, not their story.
Now, of all the awards that you're likely to get for this film, I'd like to give you a special award, and that is the award for the best use of the internet in a plot. Because, mate, I don't have to tell you, filmmakers have been struggling now for about 10 years to make the internet visually interesting and part of a plot. They've just bent over backwards trying to make it this new whiz-bang thing. You handled it so beautifully because you didn't make a big deal about it. You didn't overdo the graphics. You just said, well, there's this thing called Google Earth, and this is how it works, and this is how it can help you in your search.
Oh, thank you. I can't stand technology in movies. So in this one, it was pretty hard to avoid because this is how we found home. So it was a huge thorn in my side as a director. But you know what? One of the things that I thought of was actually Peter Weir, who I just adore, and Picnic at Hanging Rock. I thought, well, if Peter can make that rock powerful, then I can make Google powerful. And, and in many ways, that started to really excite me because guy who has this incredible life that, he's basically a secret from everybody around him in his contemporary days, and his only way of finding home is on this technology, projecting all of that emotion into those maps. It was just very exciting. It became very poignant, very haunting.
What impact did the success of Top of the Lake have for you?
I think it had a huge impact because, with Jane, I had access to really beautiful material. I also had access to, amazing actors and actresses, which probably I would not have had, ordinarily. So I think it was a huge step up for me. But also, it proved that I could handle material as well. So I had to convert it, obviously. So I think it played a big role.
Just beautiful, such beautiful direction in that series. Mate, Shantaram, should that become a synonym for development hell?
Probably.
Is it ever going to get made? Are you part of that film? Is it going to get made or what?
I don't know.
Okay.
Don't know.
Okay, what about Mary Magdalene? When are we going to see that?
Well, I've just finished shooting that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's spectacular. Look, I'm hoping this time next year. Let's see.
Do you have any particular expectations for it? Is it going to be a particularly religious film, or is it going to be divisive?
No. Well, maybe for some people. It depends who you are.
Okay.
But I think it's a deeply human and relatable version of it.
Pins. I know it's a long time ago, but it's still just a knockout doco.
I remember. Guess who shot that with me? Greg Fraser as well.
Do you have fond memories of Pins? It was such an amusing and entertaining doco.
Yeah. That